Wait. Oh, now we're working. Now it's doing it.
Is this on?
It's on now.
How can you tell?
Well, there's a thing that says it's live now.
Oh, can people see us?
I think so.
But they're sideways. Oh.
Wait. But, okay.
Can you see us?
No, they can see us. We're in portrait. Oh, it says that we're in portrait mode. That doesn't make any sense. Let's see if I can.
Can they see me now?
Can they see us now?
Why?
Wait a minute. It's daytime.
Shoot.
Hold.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hold. But now I can't.
Oh,
there we go.
there we go.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Is this
Nice to meet you,
online?
friend of the show. Nice to see everybody. Let's just step to the side to let other people pass because we don't want to be. If we're going to be reviewing video games outside, then we're going to need to be able to think clearly and not bug other people. We've got to make sure that other people we share the outdoors with so many people in this city, and it's important that we respect each other's distance, and we never just.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, and it's
Hi, everybody.
flipping.
Oh, oops.
Hi,
Hey.
Dr. Purple. Oh, no. Oh,
wait.
on the other side.
Oh, hi,
there he
everybody.
is. Hey, everybody. It's Robbie Rackleff, the host of EGI. Oh, here, hold that.
I can't. I'm holding too many drinks. Hi, everybody. My name is Allan Resnick. I'm hosting EGI_2. We're outside. Robbie's hanging out with me. I have my very yellow sunglasses on, and this is sort of an IRL video game that Robbie has invited me to co-op play with him, and there he is. I can't really hold this.
I started again. I think we're back on. Okay. I'm seeing some life, signs of life. Not unlike. It's almost as if we see you. Do you hear us?
I see you.
I'm thinking that we are. Hi, everybody. It's Robbie Rackleff here with the host of EGI2 here streaming at you.
I'm not the host. You're the host.
I'm the host of EGI2.
Oh, you said you were with
streaming.
the host.
No, I'm
you're
the.
talking about you. Hi, everybody. My name is Allan Resnick. I'm visiting. I'm hanging out with Robbie. He's invited me on a beautiful hike on a beautiful day. Something about video games, and I have 2 cups, a coffee cup and a water cup. And we're going on a beautiful hike.
And
Sorry for the interruption.
And if you can see, we're gonna get to the top of this hill here, and I think once we get to the top of the hill, then we're gonna have a much easier time because I think that the amount of I think that one of the problems could be is that being lower on the hill means that the hill is blocking out signals.
Yes.
From the various towers, but once we reach the top of the hill, we will be just blasted with signal, and that we won't be actually having any more problems before. And you can see all around us just beautiful scenery, beautiful, plenty a well-worn dirt path, and in my hands are the games that we will be reviewing, starting none other than with Blood Omen 2, which is not. This is Robbie Rackleff, the host of EGI2. We found a horse. We found 2 horses. So this is the first for EGI2 walking through. Okay.
Look at the mountain.
Beautiful mountains. Snow-capped mountains. Okay. Okay, so it looks like we are back. Looks like we did find the signal. We did find signal again. So we see. If you let us know in the chat, if you can see these beautiful snow-capped mountains there that hug the urban environment in which we are attempting to stream outdoors and do.
Robbie, there's a hype train.
There's a hype train going, and so we have to. And so okay, so a hype train.
You drew a story.
So a hype train story is I promised that if we had hype train in the outdoor game reviews that we would do story. So here we go. And this is just like we were talking about Blood Omen 2. If you wonder about like how classic stories have sequels, then this is kind of an example of that, which is that we all know the story of the boy who cried wolf and what happened to the boy who cried wolf. And what we don't hear about is what happened after the story ended and after the boy who cried wolf was, of course, eaten by the wolf. And that is the story that we're going to be telling today, which is not necessarily. He's gone.
You're telling the story of the boy who cried.
No, wolf? the boy who cried wolf story is over.
Oh.
But the wolf is still around.
Okay.
And so we're going to be following. We need to follow that. And the story of the wolf goes as follows.
What is that?
We found a big tank of water, and I'm gonna while Allan is looking at the water, I'm going to be talking about the wolf who ate the boy who cried wolf, which is the story that we will be doing for the hype train today. And that story begins now. Once upon a time, there was a big wolf who was big enough to eat a whole boy in one go, and the boy was gone, and he had been digested by the wolf, and everybody who knew the boy had been sad about it, and they tried their damnedest to go and find the wolf, but they couldn't get him because he was too slick, and he had the mind. He had a human mind. You see, and that's what people forget to say about the boy, the wolf who ate the boy who cried wolf, is that to get to be so clever as to know that was the right boy to get, because no one would believe him if he said he was being attacked by a wolf, then you had to be pretty smart. You had to know your kids. You spend a lot of time kind of perched above the village in the same way that we are perched right now, Allan, on top of the hill in beautiful Midtown Los Angeles. This wolf was perched over a small village, we suspect somewhere in Western Europe during the Dark Ages, when wolf attacks were much more common than they are now. And that wolf was always eyeing this town, always wondering which kids would be good to get. Since he was so big,
Is the hype train still going?
I don't know if the hype train is still going. Can you look at Can you check it out? See what Allan as our EGI2 special correspondent on the street. We got 2 minutes left, so let's keep going with the
90%.
So he would go. So the wolf would basically just always be perched up on top of this hill, looking down at this, looking down at
level 2.
We got to level 2, so that means the story must go. They say the show must go on, but in EGI 2, when there's a hype train, the story must go on, and the story continues with the story of the wolf who ate the boy who cried wolf, and so. One day he realizes that there's this one boy who's been calling wolf and causing everybody to run after him and see if there's a wait, we've achieved? Oh no, okay. Oh, so we're still hyped, we're still trained, and we are still going because the wolf is just a genius of a wolf. He would oftentimes be found on the hill overlooking the town, thinking about which kids to eat.
This is so romantic.
And so he got the kid, and he was no longer hungry for a long time because the kid had filled his big belly. And wolves were bigger back then, Allan. That's something that we never really talk about when we talk.
I thought this happened recently.
No, this was the boy who cries wolf was the boy was that happened a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Can you see if the hype train is still going? So we do have level 1 hype train is. I did break the headlamp. The headlamp is.
Let's see here.
Let's turn the headlamp on. So once he was, but once he started getting hungry again, he started.
A dog is coming. A wolf is attacking.
A wolf is. We've got wolf sign. We've got 2 wolf sign, and the dogs are not wolves. These are not big wolves, big enough to attack and eat children in one go.
Hello.
Just regular sized dogs with just disturbing eyes. And the hype train is still going, so we got to keep telling the story. And the story was that one day, the wolf who ate the boy who had cried wolf, came to realize that he had been doing so. Even though the little boy that he had eaten was very not well thought of in the town, it meant a lot to the simple act of living that the boy had gone through had meant a lot to his family and to others around him, and therefore he realized that eating the boy was the wrong thing to do.
Several dogs now chasing me.
Okay, so these dogs are following us. I don't know if they understand the story that we're telling, or if some beautiful. This looks like this is probably some kind of legal drugs that people are growing in the park for consumption by drug dealers and various criminal elements.
Maybe I'll eat one.
Well, don't eat one, because then you'd be a criminal.
Oh, shoot. Okay, never mind.
So the boy was happy.
What was
the boy?
Yeah.
He was the boy who cried wolf.
And they called him.
The boy, they called him the boy who cried wolf.
Oh,
because people that was sort of in the same way you'll have some native peoples in North America will have names that sort of like are full sentences.
You're not going to get this level, Robbie.
So
you're at 1 minute and 30 seconds. You have 25%. So finish the story in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, so the point was that the wolf felt sad because he knew he had done something terrible by eating a whole boy, and so he decided to relinquish his function as a beast who was willing to kill and to eat people, and he decided to grow human legs and go on a full vision quest out into the rest of the world.
Oh, I didn't know he could do that.
So he found himself a woman this was one of those nature women that we're always running into in these stories.
So this is when the story's going to get good. You have 1 minute. The story just got interesting.
No, and the nature woman, and he said to the nature woman, he said, I've eaten all these kids, especially this one kid who I thought people would be really happy that I ate because no one seemed to like him, but now I can feel, because I've eaten him fully, that his soul is sad, and that he knows that the people in his village are sad. So I would like to join a village and make another boy.
Okay, interesting.
So I would like to make another boy, and that boy will be a happy boy and a good boy.
Wait, I think you did it. Hype train level 2 complete.
Hype train level 2 complete. We're out here.
4 or 5 more minutes to continue the story, because the story did get sort of sexual.
It hasn't gotten. It's
well,
not.
You said
we're
there was
not.
A woman.
There's a nature woman, but she's not. But she's just.
Hey,
I mean,
the wolf is back.
And nature woman is not. The nature woman. Nature woman isn't necessarily sexual. It's more a woman who is in a natural state at all times. Allan, what I mean to say.
Like us?
In Los Angeles, and urban. We back yet? Okay, so we're back, and I can say with certainty that we have escaped the dogs and the criminals, and we are safe again, and we're receiving data from the top of the hill in beautiful Midtown Los Angeles. And 2 minutes and 42 seconds left to go on the hike train. Let's get it done, folks, because the wolf was sad that we now know that the wolf wanted to make a new boy.
I do have to go potty. Where do I go?
Wherever you want. It's a beautiful Midtown Los Angeles. You can go wherever you want. But the wolf was sad that he ate the boy. He wanted to make a new boy, but to make a new boy, he needed to impregnate a human woman.
See, I told you, this is where the story is going to get really interesting. So you're going to want to complete the hype train, because this is where the nature woman and the dog are going to probably have to have some sort of a relationship, a sort of an erotic sort of a moment. So back to you, Robbie. I'm excited to see where this goes.
But he was a wolf, and which makes it difficult to please to find. I mean, there are people. I'm not going to say that there aren't people out there that weren't ready to accomplish what this wolf wanted to accomplish. And let's just clear the throat here a little bit, because this is not a sexual story. This is a pure story of a wolf becoming a man and becoming a father, and it's the sequel to The Boy Who Cried Wolf. In the same way that the game that we were reviewing is the sequel to Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen: Legacy of Kain.
1 minute and 30 seconds. You have 7% hype. It's not going to happen. So let's get to the juicy.
So the Nature Woman says, if you want to become a man and make yourself a man cub, then you're going to need to have a human face, because as far as I know, there aren't enough people in. Sorry, we're still online, right now?
I still see me.
Okay, we're still online. But nothing has happened sexual yet. Not that it's going to be sexual.
I see it wiggling.
And that means that we are well on our way to for this wolf to accomplish what he had set out to accomplish, which is to make a human boy.
Let's climb up that tree, Robbie.
To make up for the human boy that he had eaten fully. There's a tree right there, Alan. You're welcome to go climb it, because we need to find the thread here. So the thread of the story is that the nature woman says, if you want a human face, you're going to have to make it out of my body.
Oh wow. Wait,
and the wolf says, "What do you mean?" And so she throws down all of her various kitchen items and cooking and mortars and pestles, and she says, "You better start."
11 seconds. Oh, thank you, Vertical Mammal. Thank you, Vertical Mammal. 10, 9, 8, 7. You're not going to do it. Finish the story. Did they do it?
I don't know. It says level 3 train achieved. I don't know what that means. Are we still going?
We still have 4 or 5 more minutes.
We still?
Yeah,
oh, okay, great. So we made it to the. Okay, great. So we made it to the next thing.
Wow.
So the Nature Woman, who was already in a state of, I will say that she was already in a state of nature, continues her journey, her own journey of self-discovery, and
this story's really good.
And says, first thing you got to do is you have to make me howl like a wolf.
Ooh, like that?
Yes. So she said, and Wolf says, how do I? She was like, well, he says, I thought that we couldn't actually. I thought that human women weren't into this wolf stuff. And she said, "Well, I'm not a normal. I'm not a normal woman.
A dust storm. Where? A dust storm is happening.
I don't know, because there's helicopters or what's happening.
Okay, there's helicopters. Robbie dropped the paper. A dust storm is taking over the stream. We dropped the paper.
Can even people see the dust here? But I have to pee. Saigon resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1. 4 months. Happy anniversary. Happy 4-month anniversary. And happy accident that the wolf was able to find a nature lady who was into having an intimate experience with a wolf, and they did, and they made.
Told you.
They got I mean, I can't get into too much detail, because we do try to remain, keep a family-friendly atmosphere on the stream.
Get into a little bit of detail, but it does help the numbers.
But I just want to say that by the end of it, the Nature Woman, who was quite dry, dry skin from just being around fires all day.
That might be too much detail.
She had started off being quite dry. Her skin was very ashy. And the wolf was also quite dry from being in a Mediterranean climate, an arid kind of thing, arid climate.
That's where they were.
No, so they were. I said Western Europe, but I meant Southwestern Europe. And that wolf and the Nature Woman by the end were quite the opposite. Were quite the opposite of the state where they were before. I would say that they were quite. They had made quite a puddle.
What do you mean?
Like they, between the two of them, they had joined in a ceremony that has been forbidden by many cultures and many religions.
So this is quite a raunchy kind
this
of
is not.
X-rated
I'm
story.
just. It's not raunchy and it's not X-rated. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to provide a little bit of context.
Yes, but you're talking about a woman and a wolf copulating, and you're talking about the dryness of their areas and moisture and puddles. I do think this is like a little much.
I don't think. Okay,
this show.
I disagree with you, Alan, because I haven't described any specific parts of the body. I haven't said like, oh, it was this part that pokes out, or this one that goes into a deep recess. I said that. I just said that. In fact, that they were both, their whole bodies were quite dry because of the arid climate and also the fires in the nature lady's life. She was a fire. That was the part of nature that she worked on the most, was fires.
Well, you're giving me enough detail that my mind is able to go off and wander and picture something quite problematic.
If you can imagine that you're in a situation where you're just entering, you've kind of just entered a very dry space for the first time, and you haven't moved a lot, and you hadn't had a lot of water. That's kind of what these people were like. And by the time they got through each other and through the magic,
1 minute warning. I think you're gonna get it. You're at 74%. 1 minute to get to the rest. This is a really sexual kind of insane story Robbie's telling. That's kind of turning me on and getting me off. So back to you, Robbie. I would like to hear the rest of this.
No, this and I just want to poke a hole in that whole bubble that Allan's just pumping up, because in fact this is not what Allan thinks, because what the woman had said was, if you want to make a human face, right, you're going to need to make it out of meat.
Oh, almost there. Thank you.
So, in fact, what thank you,
Joe Botnick. Thank you, Joe Botnick.
The thing that they had been trying to do with the
25 seconds.
With becoming watery, let's just say watery. No, just damp and just muggy. Let's just say muggy.
5 more percent.
So they were muggy, and she said, "Well, now that I'm all muggy, then you can. I need you to bite my arm off."
Whoa, okay, hold on. The story just got crazy. The hype train, you hit the next level, I believe, but it's not triggering level 5. You have 100%. I believe we're going to go into level 5 now. I'm just waiting for the notification on my phone. Okay, and hype train. Oh, wait.
Okay, so in fact, what?
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Sign up.
I think we might have froze. So,
do we have a hype train or not?
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Do we lose it? We got it. Oh, wait. I think we might still be okay.
Wait.
Oh.
Wait. Okay.
Sound up in the chat if the hype train... Oh, we didn't do it.
Do we hear it?
I got 100%, but
wait, it ended it somehow? Okay.
No, it ended at 100% somehow. So we got cheated. The story... I still think you should finish the story because we did get cheated.
I can't finish the whole story because we don't have enough hype left in us, but I wanted to say that what happened as a result, and this is just to underline the fact that it's not a sexual story.
Okay.
That in fact, what had happened was that after the wolf and the nature woman had experienced the pleasure of each other's company, what happened was they were both. So thank you for everybody that is sticking with us while we are still struggling to find, somehow in this giant metropolis at the top of a very high hill, we are unable to find the correct space into which to step to find a consistent signal. But hopefully, I believe that if we just stick around this spot, then we should be okay. I think part of the issue was put the phone down on the ground. And then another thing that might have happened was just there was a lot of criminals probably using their cell phones to create networks of criminality. You can see that the stream is doing well now, and we are back on track, Allan. So let's continue on with EGI2's outdoor game reviews. Allan, the chat wants to know if you've been able to successfully use the bathroom yet.
No, I haven't gone yet. I do have a big. I have a tiny bladder for a man. I'm pretty small I'm well within the range of average heights for boys my age, for sure. But I am on the small side, and doctors say that has resulted in an incredibly tiny bladder. It's almost impossible to see, but I'm thirsty all the time, and I haven't been able to find a good spot to pee free of wolves or dogs or other people who could witness it, and I don't want people to see it. It's sort of a private moment for me, the peeing. So if you sound off in the chat if you see a good spot, I will try to relieve myself. It does hurt to hold it in. I'm not supposed to hold it in, and holding it in does cause damage to me. Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Allan. Let's see what people are saying in the chat about Blood Omen 2, the second in the Legacy of Kain games, because I do believe that people forget, because of there is so much talk about Soul Reaver, and People talk so much about Soul Reaver, they forget that that started with Cain. So if you think about that, then I think that you'll find that it's very possible that I'm not really sure that's Allan. Okay, so what we were talking about, EGI2's back on the scene with Blood Omen 2, our outdoor game review of for this Friday, March 8th, 2024, the year of our Lord, 2024, and it's just extremely windy up here, which I think that might be part of the, if you add in the wind and you add into all of the criminals using their burner phones, then you'll probably, I think you might get a good.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to the chat.
Oh, hi. Oh, are we live again? Oh, hey everybody. Robbie, I think what city is that?
That's downtown Los Angeles, Allan. That's the place where we moved. That because we assumed that we were going to be able to do shows for AdultSwim.com,
right.
But unfortunately, AdultSwim.com shut us down, and now here we are. Outdoors.
The skyline, they changed it.
And they changed the skyline.
It'll never be the same. That skyline. They changed the hell out of it.
And some people might say the same thing about Blood Omen 2, which was, of course, a much different game than the original Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, which was a top-down action RPG where you sucked the blood of your enemies and fought off the forces of darkness in the realms of, I keep wanting to say Noctis, Allan. Is that? But Noctis is somebody else, isn't it?
That's a character from a Final Fantasy game. I think it's the boy with the beautiful hair who drives around in the car.
So it was. Let's just call it Noctis because I can't remember what happened. I can't remember what happened in the first Legacy of Kain game, and I can't remember really. But I can tell you that once we got to Legacy Blood Omen 2, then
I finished my water.
Once we got to Blood Omen 2, they had, there's a bird. Wait, look at that big bird. That could be a hawk. It could be a falcon, or it could be a day owl.
Okay.
So the point is that it's so windy.
Windy as hell.
Oh, and there's
Careful. Oh, it's so dusty.
So I just want to make sure that we are seeing this.
Let's get a puppy. You and me, we can
guys
split.
would like. They are selling puppies, and if you would like to buy
sale.
puppies,
our dogs have too many puppies. We would appreciate if you gave them a home. They love to snuggle. Robbie, let's get a puppy.
They are a multi-poo. What does that mean?
They're multi-poo mix. Please call. If you call that a puppy, we can share the puppy.
In EGI2, I don't know if EGI2 should have its own puppy, but I'm sure that if we did have a multi-poo, then we'll
do a poll in the chat if Robbie and Allan should share a puppy. It will be the official EGI2 puppy owned by the community, and we would feed it. We do polls every week on what to feed it and what kind of activities to do with the puppy.
That would juice the numbers. Exceptionally windy up here today. I'm not sure exactly why. I think the reason is because of all of the weather that we've been having. I think Los Angeles is not a place that's accustomed to much weather at all, and so it's nice to have weather all of a sudden. And of course, that has affected the jet streams
Robbie,
that come through the city.
This tree. Do you know what that symbol means? Is that a gang thing?
So that's a gang. Obviously, the criminals. The gangs come up into the city parks and they tag trees and they let people know this is their territory and not your territory, and not to don't. And I would suspect that maybe it wasn't the smartest thing in the world for Allan to pee on that tree, because it could be marked by any number of other various syndicates or triads that that we don't want to have working against us here on EGI2, and but if you think about various conflicting interests, then you might find your way back to Blood Omen 2, which takes place in, of course, the realm of Noctis, where you, as the aggrieved Cain, travel through the city, avenging yourself, and working together with friends to overthrow the powers that be on your quest for ultimate power, which then of course brings the series back full circle to the Soul Reaver games, Soul Reaver 1 and 2, and then finally the third game in the Soul Reaver Blood Omen franchises that unifies both the Cain storylines and the Raziel storylines. Thank you, Joe Botnick, for reminding me that it's not Noctis, it's Nosgoth, Allan.
Oh.
Nosgoth was the answer.
Several comments I'd like to make about what just occurred with the... I did get it out, I did urinate in it. So a couple things. I had several vitamins. I kept taking the same... It was just a multivitamin, but I kept taking it, so I took about 10 of those because I would forget that I took it. I say, take one every morning, take a multivitamin. And then I'll take it, I'll do something, I'll check my email, and then I'll say, take the pill, and I'll forget that I've taken it until I notice, like, wait, this bottle was full recently. So this is all just to say that the pee that I did, the yellow pee, was much stinkier and yellower than the normal pee, and for something about that did hurt me. I did get it on my leg and my shoe, but I feel so much better to have gotten it out. But I feel like a few more sips of this, and I'll have to go again. So back to you, Robbie.
And back to you, Allan. Thank you for that update, and thank you for also checking in on the chat and seeing what people are saying about Blood Omen 2, and if we are doing a good job of reviewing the game outdoors.
Okay, I'll check.
So what I would like to say about Blood Omen 2 is that although it lacks some of the fluidity and some of the tighter platforming elements of the Legacy of Kain games 1 and 2, that in fact is worthwhile. It's worth a look simply because it's so interesting to play as the...
They said, Eraserhead Baby says, Blood Omen 2 sounds cool, so you're doing a good job, I think.
Okay, well, thank you.
This is a good review so far.
This is a great review of Blood Omen 2. Oh, there's a train down there. Let's take a look at that.
Okay.
You can see the Metrolink train slowly moving across the... those are the tracks that head all the way north up to as far as Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver, British Columbia. Do I pinch to zoom? I think I can pinch to zoom. I can't pinch to zoom in the Twitch app, which is quite unfortunate. But hopefully, if you get really close to the screen, whatever you're looking at, then you'll probably see. There's two trains. So we got double train. One train is moving quite fast, and one train is moving very slowly. So that's I believe that's what is called parallax. I believe that the faster train is probably heading with passengers up to points north, and that the slower train is moving to a switch track somewhere past these trees that we can't see. And then there's several trains that are just waiting to be washed off because this is where a lot of the train. I know that down there is where the trains get washed off before they head to Union Station. And of course, Blood Omen 2 has more of a steampunk type of aesthetic that we don't really see come back in any of the later games, Allan.
Yep. Totally.
More. I would say that the high, the sort of like the new gothic vibe of the Soul Reaver games becomes the dominant aesthetic going forward.
What's kind of a rating?
Well, it's up. I think it's up to the chat because we are all reviewing it. We're all working together to review Blood Omen 2.
It sounds like such a cool game. I'm going to give it a 10.
You can suck the blood out of people from across the room, which is interesting. So there's a special button that once you've accomplished the defeat of an enemy to a certain extent, then you can move you can move your finger to one of the face buttons and press that button, and the blood will come out of the wounds and into your mouth.
I wish there was a button on my body that I could hit. It would allow me to suck blood from Robbie's wounds.
But of course, the problem with the Legacy of Kain, with the Blood Omen 2 situation, is that we never really get the series started as an action RPG. It turned into a third-person kind of hop and bop, not quite a hack and slash, but not quite a platforming again, and it never went on from there because it then became more of a fairly commonplace Eidos style 3D adventure game, in the same way that Tomb Raider or Akuji, the Heartless.
I don't know how they do it. They do like a cool, like a thumbs up kind of a. Does it look like I'm in?
I don't think, Alan. I'm pretty sure that you're not supposed to touch the gang symbols. I think that's if a member. If West X P.
West X.
Or is it West?
I think it's West. That's an F. That's an X. That's a P. And then it says C star X C.
Of course, here on EGI2, we respect gangs. We respect all gangs and all territories. These are, if you think about LA as a city of neighborhoods, it's a city of nations, Alan. It's a city of small gangs that control neighborhoods. And if you are discovered defacing gang symbols, then you will be taken out, and your life is forfeit to the gang leader.
I think I might be interested in maybe possibly finding a gang to join, a sort of a gang that patrols the streets and finds criminals that are doing things that the gang doesn't like and kind of punishing people. I think it would be kind of an interesting way. And I lack leadership in my life, so I think if there was a strong male leader, I would pretty quickly kind of go under the wing of that fellow and do what they say. And that would give my life structure that it currently is lacking. Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Alan, and thank you for that thoughtful take on how vigilantism occurs. So and vigilantes are anti-heroes. So is Kain. We never learn Kain. I don't think we ever learned Kain's last name. Neither do we. Raziel is, of course.
It was Reaper. Kang Reaper. No.
Raziel Reaver?
No.
You think?
Reacher?
Is it called Raziel Reaver?
I think it's Raziel Reaver and Reacher. No, in Kain, Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen 2, Reaver.
We never understand why they use the word Reaver and the word Reaver to describe Raziel. At no point in the Legacy of any of the Legacy of Kain games do we ever hear someone say to Raziel, "You're the Reaver now." And I think that's sad, because I believe that if you're going to take a word that is as commonly used as Reaper and just replace the P with a V and become Reaver, you owe the audience some explanation. And I think that most notably, the person that owes Raziel the most explanation is, of course, Kain, because he was the one who, through his struggles and through his warmongering, became the vampire overlord that he becomes in the Soul Reaver games, who then must be dismounted. Who must be dismounted. So thank you for. Check out what people are saying in the chat about Blood Omen 2. It sounds like it's getting a 10 out of. It sounds like Blood Omen 2 is getting a 10 out of 10. Alan, what do you think about that?
That was actually my suggestion. I was pretty quick to say this game sounded quite good, quite interesting, and it warranted a 10 out of 10. Usually when Robbie reviews the games, it's usually like a 4 or 5, a 6, kind of 7.9. It's a low score, but this game sounds quite interesting, so I'm going to give it an official 10 out of 10. And I'm pretty sure I did play it, and it was fun. Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Alan, and thank you for that. Let's go on to our next review of the afternoon. We do have more games.
So we gave it a 10?
We're giving Legacy of Kain Blood Omen 2 a 10 out of 10.
Yay!
Next up is, of course...
And it was a team effort.
It was a team effort. Alan, hold on to that for
Oh,
a
great.
second.
Now I have the show. So thank you so much, Robbie, for letting me host DGI2. It's been a long-time dream of mine to do it. Brief moments here and there, I've gotten a little bit. Sound off in the chat if you like how I host, what we're doing, and you like seeing us out and about in the real world, not the digital world. Although it has been a long-time fantasy of mine to share a digital realm with Robbie, a sort of digital afterlife where Robbie and I are in an infinite, sort of endless plane, and we can do whatever we want. We can spawn new objects, and maybe we could kind of go into the console and type / more Robbies, and a bunch of Robbies, extra Robbies would show up for me to play with, and we could have a little house, like a Sims house, and just play all infinitely. And I don't think we'd get tired. I don't think we'd have to sleep in this sort of world. People are calling it #Pal World, which is kind of a good idea. We could call it Pal World because Robbie and I are best pals, and just spend the rest of eternity, no sleep, no lights, no day-night cycle, just hanging out and chatting. And maybe there's even, you know how sometimes you go into a game and you go into like a virtual arcade and there's even more games? I think it would be like that, where inside the world, the digital world, there'd be an emulator on a little TV, like a sort of a retro emulator on one of those CRT TVs. And Robbie and I could play all kinds of games forever and ever and ever and ever. And it would just be us and no other people. Me and all the Robbies. There'd be like 20 Robbies, I think. So that's just kind of what I'm thinking about, what I've been thinking about here on our walk today. And I hope this
and next up on EGI2's outdoor game reviews, coming to you live from beautiful Midtown. If that's downtown, then where we're standing is Midtown, because we're in between downtown and uptown. So that's Midtown. And the next up on the EGI2's outdoor game reviews is, of course, Metalhead on the Sega 32X. Alan, what are people saying about Metalhead on the Sega 32X?
People saying, "Oh, Robbie was doing it. They liked it when I was doing it." Nothing yet.
Metalhead on the Sega 32X. It's a party game. It's an action game.
Oh, that'd be fun.
You play as a mech pilot piloting a mech. Through the streets of
Metalhead.
Metalhead on the Sega 32X.
Mossy Lump said Metalhead. Thank you.
Metalhead is, of course, one of the few 32X games that does use texture mapping, Alan.
Oh, wow.
So you have a fully 3D environment that the Metalhead
cool.
walks through, blasting away at various enemies, blasting away at various vehicles and people, and leveling the city.
Who plays the Metalhead?
The Metalhead is willing to destroy the city to save the city, and yes, you do play as the Metalhead.
Okay, got it. That sounds fun.
So but what sets Metalhead for the 32X apart is as follows. One, it's not fully 3D. It's only partially 3D in the way that many first-person shooters are partially 3D in that era. What sets it apart next is that it is rather than being a mech simulator, it is much more of a casual mech action game from a first person's perspective. So not exactly quite a first person shooter and not quite a metal simulator, but in fact Metalhead stands on its own and is, of course, like I said before, one of the few 32X games to use texture mapped 3D polygons, Alan.
I think there was like a spider web in the tree. My hand had to go in it because that was the only hole, and I think I got bit by a spider, and I would love if I got some sort of spider powers, which is such a common theme in all those Spider-Man movies and video games.
And what a wonderful way to segue into talking about Spider-Man: The Web of Fire, of course, also a classic Sega 32X game in which you play as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, swinging his webs, blasting enemies off the face of the planet, and enjoying the comfort of his beautiful wife, Mary Jane Parker Watson.
And this is the new Spider-Man 2 game for PlayStation 5.
So this is the 32X this was, I think, the last game to be released for the Sega 32X before it was officially discontinued, Alan.
That's too bad.
But we were not talking about Spider-Man Web of Fire. We are, in fact, talking about and I've been trying to enunciate more, Alan.
Me too.
I've been trying to enunciate more because, especially when you are outdoors and there's so much environmental noise, that it's very important to open your mouth as wide as possible when you are speaking, and to press your lips together when they need to be pressed together, and to live your truth in the clearest way possible, so that people can understand you when you are getting blasted off the hillsides in beautiful Midtown Los Angeles while reviewing Metalhead for the Sega 32X.
I can hear you, Robbie, and back to you, Robbie.
So I would say that Metalhead for the Sega 32X is, of course, breaks ground in so many ways, and is so revolutionary in so many ways. But also, unfortunately, as a result of being so early, being such an early development title on a system that never really got settled on, where the people never really got to the point where they could make games on it that people would want to play, that Metalhead, of course, suffered from that considerably. Alan?
Yeah. I know. I hate that.
And so, as a result of that, because the gameplay in Metalhead, I would say, is quite thin.
Oh, shoot.
Even though at the time playing it for the first 10 minutes of the game, you would, perhaps as a child, but perhaps as a child of divorce, you would think to yourself, "This is the future. We are looking at the apex. We're looking at the panacea, and things cannot possibly get any better than this." But in fact, they could get better than this, and the fact that divorce affects people so deeply on so many levels, and it takes so long to actually process all of that, in the same way that it took people who were experimenting with the 32X capabilities so much time to process what that little machine was capable of. And as a result, we never really got to see the full potential realized of the Sega 32X, in that the same way that children of divorce also rarely see their full potential. Alan?
My parents are happily married. They have been my entire life. They're still together. I talk to them quite regularly, and it's definitely been very helpful to me to have that sort of stability in my life. But I never had these kind of weird experiences with video games that Robbie's had. I've just had sort of healthy experiences with these sort of, wonderful, dazzling games with dazzling graphics that I kind of always knew where to place in the timeline of human advancement in terms of video game graphics. I knew exactly where they sat, and that alignment was never off for me. So it's interesting.
That is interesting, Alan, and thank you for that commentary. And as a result of, I would say, plotting and slow gameplay and a lack of diverse divorce. Gunfire?
Some sort of a clangity clang.
We definitely, and we must say that as a result of thin gameplay, graphics that I think overstay their welcome, and a lack of diversity in its mission objectives, that we must unfortunately give Metalhead on the Sega 32X a 4 out of 10, Alan.
Okay, so this sounds like this sounds like a bad game, even by Robbie's standards. So this was probably in a normal human standard. You probably want to rate this around maybe a 1 or a 2. Back to you, Robbie. And
Back to you,
Alan.
Some
sort of a gun.
There's some sort of a gun battle going on in that hillside over yonder, and so we won't be going over there anytime soon. But it's probably fine, because the fact of the matter is that we can review games from this safe. We can review video games live on EGI2 from this very safe spot where we are standing right now.
I think if we stay by the gang tree,
and we'll stay by the gang tree,
because I think it's. I feel like that gang tree is a bit of a sacred territory that
exactly
we
sort of like
don't really mess with.
Almost like a totem, almost like some sort of a sigil or a rune that we can rely on for safety. We don't know exactly what all of the symbols mean on the tree, but God bless it, because so far we have not been affected by the gun battle happening, what I believe is in the vicinity of Dodger Stadium. We have more train to show you. Coming into the train station right now is yet another Metrolink train, moving quite slowly. But we can't zoom in, but you'll have to just, you can tell that it's a Metrolink train by the kind of wavy turquoise designs on the double-decker carriages. and oftentimes there's also a white. There's oftentimes a white carriage that's part of the total consist. And so if it's alternating like that, then you've probably got a Metrolink train. But if I see a Pacific Surfliner train, or if I even see one of the long distance Amtrak trains, or your Coast Starlight, your Texas Eagle slash what does this Texas Eagle become?
I don't know, Robbie.
The Texas Eagle, there's a train that leaves here on Sundays. I think it's Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, which is the Texas Eagle, which at one point, when I believe it is in, where's Julian Castro from?
I don't know.
San Antonio?
Yeah.
San Antonio, I think. So it's San Antonio.
asks, is Robbie a rail fan? I think the answer should be quite clear.
So it's I believe it is. It's not San Antonio. What's the other one? It's another one of those mid-sized Texas cities.
Yeah.
It's not San Antonio. It's not El Paso.
Oh, I thought it was El
It splits. So the Texas Eagle splits into two and becomes one is the Texas Eagle, which goes through more of Texas and through northern and eastern Texas, and then the other part splits and goes to New Orleans, and that's the Sunset Limit.
I wish we could keep walking, but I'm worried that the signal will drop.
Well, I'm worried that the signal will drop too, but we could, while we're standing here, we can see if there's any more, if we can spot any more Amtrak trains on their way to Union Station, or perhaps to points north, as far north as Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, or Vancouver, British Columbia. Okay, bye. I'm sorry that we seem to be losing people, but the signal is still up, so we must continue on with our exploration of these video game reviews in the outdoors, as we are buffeted by the wind and yet still protected, we believe, by the gang signs from the gunfire all that surrounds us. It's a city on fire. They say sometimes the city is on fire. It's inflamed with violence and the chaos, and of course the traffic. But for me, at this moment right now, there's no place where than I'd rather be.
We're still live.
Than to be up here on the top of a hill reviewing Blood Omen 2, and then Metalhead on the 32X, and now
I thought you already did that.
we did those. I'm saying there's no place I would rather be than reviewing those two games, as well as our third.
Which is?
Our third.
Oh, great! The camera's come back to me. Now I have the camera. Oops, oopsie doodle. And I have it up high. I can even bring it down low. And this is the drink I've been drinking. It's just sort of a cold brew iced coffee. It's making my head feel really weird. It's giving me a headache that I can't even describe, because it's like a headache that hurts. It's the kind of headache that is every sip is tingling my head and making my head hurt. And there's Robbie. That's Robbie. He hosts the show. It's called what's it called? It's called EGI2. It's on Twitch, I believe.
Twitch.tv/EGI_2. It's a place for news, reviews that you can trust, community, creativity, and fellowship.
All the news that's fit to print, you've heard it here first live, you see it with your own eyes. And tell your friends, because the show is by all metrics not as successful as it should be. Based on when I see Robbie, I see a tremendous amount of talent. I feel like someone who's got their S together, and they're just super talented. They work hard. They deserve a lot of sort of financial compensation, reward for the hard work that they do. And they just have their S together, and they've done a wonderful job.
And this is one of the big ones. People have been asking about this. People have been wanting us to review this game for a long time, and that is, of course, Parasite Eve on the Sony PlayStation. Parasite Eve is one of those classic Square games that came out on the Sony PlayStation that we all marveled at its pre-rendered backdrops, polygonal characters, and fully CGI story cutscenes.
I love the CGI story cutscenes. That's really cool.
And of course, Parasite Eve is not quite an action RPG, nor is it a traditional JRPG, Alan. It sort of straddles the line between action RPG, JRPG, and survival horror, which I think was of course has been such a.
You've been playing a game.
I've been playing survival horror games on the stream, Alan. I've been playing Resident Evil 3 Remake on the stream. It's a wild game. It's a party game. It's nasty as hell.
Yeah.
Lots of cursing, lots of innuendo. People talk about having their character is accused at one point of having his dick in his hand.
I thought we weren't supposed
Well,
to
I
say
just
that.
I can't
really
not say I can't
confused
not.
by the
I'm just quoting the line. I'm not saying it myself. But he's accused.
I just want to be clear on the rules. If I'm quoting something, I can say it, no matter how weird it is. If it's a quote.
Yeah, technically.
Okay, I'm gonna I'll be right back.
Well, okay. So Parasite Eve on the Sony PlayStation, of course, came as packed in with a demo disc on some. An early chapter of the game was packed on a demo disc, I believe, perhaps with the official PlayStation magazine, as well as Brave Fencer Musashi, also an actual action RPG in the vein of Gomon and Brave Fencer Musashi on Sony PlayStation. So Parasite Eve is, of course, the story of. Oh, there's a fast-moving Metrolink train coming into the station. Let's see if we can get another look at that. You can probably see the parallax working quite well there with the faster train moving along the still background.
Robbie, I have an interesting quote I'd like to read.
Allan, I'm hoping that this is a quote about none other than Parasite Eve on the Sony PlayStation.
I think it is. It's from Kevin Smith. 10 years in, we bone like we're cheating on each other with each other. A decade plus, her clit/brown/ting area still pones my dick. So that's okay, based on the rules.
Her what?
Her clit/brown area/ting area still pones my dick. Kevin Smith, the director, the famous director.
I'm just trying to understand.
And that's a quote.
Why you would say something like that?
I didn't say it, Robbie. It's a quote. Kevin
No,
Smith said it.
Parasite Eve on Sony PlayStation turned a lot of heads with its storyline of a magical virus that infects people and turns rats into larger rats that are pink, and turned human beings into non-human enemies. The virus, which of course reflects back at the audience the same expectations that we have from survival horror games like Resident Evil, Galarians, Deep Fear, Carrier, and Blue Stinger.
Blue Stinger, that sounds made up.
I was.
What are they talking about?
Somebody's using a. So let's. It's the mitochondria. It affects the mitochondria. Thank you, Future Cinema, for bringing mitochondria back into the conversation about Parasite Eve, since it is important to understanding. Since it is important to understanding what Parasite Eve is in fact about.
I want to go back and look at the horse.
Okay, so let's see if we can go see the horse again while we think about why somebody would ever say those things about their wife.
I think it was a compliment about the wife, because they still do it. He still does it. I think he's saying that some people don't do it after their marriage. They stop doing that, what he said, but he still does it. And that's why he's one of the best directors we have.
Back to you, Allan, and of course we have to consider what
There's the LA River.
you just said about that. With our, when you look at the LA River, you think of all the great rivers of the world, and you think about, especially I think about, Allan, as in the context of Parasite Eve. In the context of Parasite Eve, I think about the setting of Parasite Eve, which is of course New York City, which we all often forget, Allan, is sort of like an archipelago because it's made up of so many islands.
What are we talking
Whereas
about?
Manhattan Island, there's Staten Island, Governors, Roosevelt, Ellis, Brooklyn and Queens are in fact on the island.
Is this in the
Then
game?
there's Coney
What
Island.
game is this? Is this Spider-Man?
No, this is Parasite Eve.
And it takes place in New York?
No, and it does take place in New York. And looking at the LA River made me think about New York City, which is where Parasite Eve takes place. In New York, Manhattan Island is of course buffeted in the way that we are being buffeted on one side by wind, another side by gunfire, and another side by the trains that that's where Parasite Eve takes place.
And I'm quite hungry now. I've urinated out all of the fluids that I've collected. I'm collecting a few more fluids, but now my body is craving some sort of a carbohydrate or a protein would maybe be good as well, or just some like a big bowl of fiber.
So when you're playing Parasite Eve, of course, you're exploring major New York landmarks. Your Central Park, the New York City Opera House, Grand Central Station, and of course the subway and the sewers, which we all know from various stories that are set in New York, where subways and sewers are a major narrative device to describe, of course, what is underneath the city, and what is above the city is, of course, what is on the surface is the text, and then what is beneath it is the subtext, Alan.
Okay, yeah.
So Parasite Eve is, in fact, because it deals with the thing at the mitochondria of the DNA.
Oh.
And you don't see. Let's just take a quick look at this, because you actually don't see a lot of moss this thick.
Let me touch it.
In LA, but it has been raining so much. We have been so blessed by the Creator to have.
By what?
The Creator that has given us so much life.
What are you talking about?
Water is life, and LA. And as you can see, that LA is green and clear in a way that it is not often. But at this time of year, you can see from Midtown Man. You can almost see, if you can look closely at your screen there. And I don't want to go up that path towards the horse because I'm worried that we're going to lose the signal. But you can see the Hollywood sign.
Oh yes, there it is. Here, I'll point it out. Point it out. No.
So that's the Hollywood sign, and Alan's looking at mushrooms. So let's just take a look at that. But don't eat any, because those in the way. One thing that we can learn from Parasite Eve is that if there's one thing that we should not tamper with, it is our DNA.
Look, there's a bug.
And if you eat bugs, if you eat mushrooms, then there's a good chance that you could affect your DNA. And before long, you could find yourself.
I want to do that.
You could
sound
find
off in the chat if I should eat that. If you can identify that in the chat and you think it's safe for me to eat, just sound off, do a poll, and I'll eat it if it sounds like a good idea to you.
If it sounds good, if Parasite Eve sounds good to you, then you can purchase Parasite Eve for as low as $5.99 on the PlayStation Store in the PlayStation Classics library that has been available to users of PlayStation systems since there was a PSN store, Alan.
It's so interesting. And why do people watch this?
And people watch this because no one else is talking about PlayStation Parasite Eve on the Sony PlayStation outdoors in Midtown Los Angeles on March 8th, 2024.
It looks like the poll is, a lot of people are voting yes, I should eat it.
Okay, so go ahead and take it.
It's not done yet. It's not done yet. I'll wait for the poll to end. So there I am. There's the poll.
I wonder if I move it, if I shoot your screen, am I going to get that cool kind of like tunnel effect?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
But of course, Parasite Eve runs into a number of issues despite its intriguing premise and compelling gameplay as a result of a number of issues in terms of invisible walls,
now they're saying I shouldn't.
difficulty spikes.
Ooh. Thank you, Crabmaster Zach. Crabmaster Zach spent 1,500 channel points to vote no. Allan should not eat it. So, saving my life, once again, I am indebted to you, Crabmaster Zach. Back to you, Robbie.
And of course, a storyline that most people that have finished the game agree doesn't quite live up to the premise that is shown at the beginning of the game.
I really want to go see that horse.
So we're going to try to go see the horse and see if we can see what the horse thinks about Parasite Eve on the Sony PlayStation, Parasite Eve 2, or perhaps even the Parasite. So if if given the story that I would like to tell, or rather not the story, but the lesson that I believe that we have learned is that if given the choice between being near gang signs or a horse, stay with the gang signs.
Stay with the gang signs.
Stay protected. Oh, lesson.
Shoot. There's a bee on it.
There's a bee on it.
Careful. Whoa, wait, careful. Oh, you dropped one. Watch out, there's a bee, Robbie.
Okay. I'm coming. Don't touch.
There was a bee.
So as a result,
Sorry I made you try to see that horse. I didn't realize there was some sort of signal blocking technology that they use to protect the horse from being seen. You dropped your light. Paper. Robbie, you dropped the light.
So as a result of the difficulties,
Oh, maybe you don't.
so Parasite.
Robbie, you dropped the paper.
So Parasite Eve, if I were to be reviewing Parasite Eve when it came out in 1998, if I were to be reviewing Parasite Eve when it was first released in 1998, I would be giving Parasite Eve a 6.5 out of 10. But with the knowledge that we have now of how survival horror games and role-playing games can in fact be made to work properly together, and I think that we could use a number of games as reference for that, whether it be Pandora's Tower on the Nintendo Wii or
A butterfly.
what was the other one? Or even something like Eternal Darkness on the Nintendo GameCube. Then I would unfortunately have to lower that score to a 5 out of 10. It's a 5 out of 10 for Parasite Eve on the Sony PlayStation Live here on EGI2's Outdoor Video Game Reviews, Allan.
Cheers, everybody.
So that's our review of Parasite Eve. And next up, is there anything that you would like us to review? We're going to do things a little differently. We're going to be asking the chat, that's you, if there's any games that we should be reviewing while we're outdoors.
Just sound off in the chat. I'll monitor.
Eternal Darkness gets a 10 out of 10. No question about that. Eternal Darkness is a 10 out of 10. But I will say that you have to knock at least 1 point off of that 10 out of 10 simply because of the involvement of Dennis Dyack, who unfortunately is quite a problematic figure in the games industry. Darkseed for the PC CD-ROM or Sega CD comes in at a EGI score, I believe, Allan. And you'll be first.
Jovan H, that's your answer. Oh, Grandmaster Zach wants to know about Cooking Mama.
Cooking Mama is a high stakes, high energy kind of game. It's a party game. It's for party people who love to have a good time and use the Wii remote to chop and slice. And it gets an EGI2 outdoor game review score of 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, and Giovanna H wants to know what the score was for Darkseed again.
Darkseed receives a score of 4 out of 10 on the Sega CD, but a 5.7 out of 10 on the PC CD-ROM. Darkseed 2, however, which I don't believe came out on... It might have come out in Japan on the Sega Saturn, but I believe was otherwise stuck on the PC CD-ROM, also receives a median score of 6 out of 10.
Yes. I'm going to...
Clock Tower on the PlayStation 1 is an example. Is a party game. It's a game for party people who love to party in the Clock Tower with the Scissor Man. But unfortunately, Clock Tower on the PlayStation 1 doesn't make the cut. It gets a 4 out of 10. Clock Tower 2, however, gets a 5 out of 10. Noted. And Clock Tower 3 on the PlayStation 2, Allan.
Yeah.
That gets a 7 out of 10.
A little update from me. I've refilled the tank, the little bladder I have, I call the tank, and I'm going to go behind the gang tree again and relieve myself once again. Shout Shout out aloud wolf howl if you see someone coming too close.
Shout
to the
aloud,
path.
shout aloud wolf howl if you see somebody coming to the wolf. If you see the wolf man, tell him that wolf. Don't be a boy. Don't be a boy that says hello to clock tower. Which is the clock tower on a boat? I guess that's probably clock tower 2. I would have put Darkseed against Darkseed 2. I'm gonna just go ahead and disagree with that, just because I think that some of the graphics in Darkseed 2 have held up better. I think that the puzzles and storytelling in both of the games is fairly. You can poke it. Oh no, Alan, could you pick up that piece of paper? Once you finish, make sure that the paper doesn't fly over the cliff and get onto the highway somewhere and cause an accident. Kirby Air Ride on the Nintendo GameCube gets an EGI2 outdoor game review score of, it's a party game, it's a flying game. Kirby's having a great time riding the hell out of that star, skating through the Kirby Midworld, I believe it is, Alan. If it's probably, I'm going to go ahead and say 6 out of 10 for Kirby's Air Ride. Also, I would give that to the Kirby and the Crystal Shards. And we don't really get into 7 out of 10 Kirby games until we start talking about the Nintendo DS Kirby games. Forsaken, also on the PS1, receives an EGI2 score of 6 out. Receives an EGI2 score of 6 out of 10. However, the original PC release of Forsaken receives an 8 out of 10, while Forsaken 6. No, it's okay. Thank you. You can throw it away. I didn't need anything from the paper anymore.
Why did you have an empty sheet of paper?
Forsaken on PC gets an 8 out of 10, but Forsaken 64 gets a 7 out of 10. Simply better. It's obviously better than the PlayStation Forsaken because it's got 4-player split screen cooperative mode. Alan.
Yes.
So, Forsaken remastered. It was remastered by Night Dive. I believe that Forsaken deserves a spot on the Nintendo Switch eShop, but until then, you'll have to just suffice. You'll have to drink some water, Alan.
Oh, great! I already drank all mine. Can I have some? Hey, everybody, Allan here. A 1-month tier sub to piss someone gave us, so I don't know what that means, but thank you. Maybe they saw me. Did you guys? I told them not to film that part. If you're just joining us, I have gone potty twice, number 2 times, so that's 4. And I already said it, but I'll reiterate. There's just a crazy amount of multivitamin that I take, a male multivitamin to get my T levels up to be more male, and it is making my urine quite dark, sort of like blood red, and it hurts when it comes out, but it's stinky too. But I do need to get it out because my doctor said if I hold it in, it will damage the urethra and my I have a very, very tiny bladder. So it's hard to keep that thing full. So going on a walk, when Robbie first asked me to go on a hike, I said, I don't know, I'm going to have to find I don't know, are there potties on the hike? He said there's no potties, but he did say I could probably go behind a tree. And I did find a very kind of intense tree with a gang member tag. Someone tagged it up with sort of a gang logo. But it was a very safe tree. It was very pleasant. And it's beautiful and lush out here. And this is Robbie. There he is, right there. That is Robbie. He's the host of EGI_2 on Twitch, and he's incredibly smart and talented and funny and interesting. He says the wildest stuff. Some of this, you won't even believe some of the stuff he says. It's worthy of the Hall of. I don't know where you put interesting quotes, but he says these interesting quotes that kind of blow my mind and kind of feed me. I learn something new every time he talks to me. The words come from him like a milk strand from his mouth into my ear. My ear is the mouth that drinks the milk, and it goes into my head and teaches me all kinds of things about these weird kind of games I've never heard about and don't actually care about and never heard anyone ever talk about. And our world is so crazy, and there's so much important things happening, political things happening. It's an election year, and the fact that his mind is capable of generating so much sort of weird video game content and feeding it to the audience is really remarkable.
But what I wanted to say about that, Alan, and back to you, Alan, and thank you for that, because where was I? Because I think people are excited about me reviewing games that are a bit newer. So the one thing I would like to, the game that I would like to review for us all.
You see that? I think that's New York. That's like the New York City skyline right there.
Oh,
I think.
Gifted, not very smart. Gifted a 1 month sub to Piss, but we're not on Piss.
I'm confused about that.
I don't know. Okay, thank you for that. Whatever that means. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed watching the stream, and I hope that you also like to say that. I hope that people are excited to hear this review of our next game here on EGI2's Outdoor Game Reviews, which of course is a newer game. It's a game that pushes the envelope of the system that it's on, and that is of course Witcher 2: Assassin of Kings on the Xbox 360. Alan,
it's a bit old now, but it's a newer game. It's a modern game, and it is a good game. It is a well-liked game that people know about. It's there's a TV series, a Witcher show. And they love these Witcher games, so this is a good thing. This is a rarity on EGI2. He normally talks about things called like Bird Quest or like Egg Drop and things that people don't know about, where you play as like a little toad or frog that has to unlock a crate or jump across a little river. So this is exciting. So back to you, Robbie. I'm excited to hear about this.
Back to you, Alan, and of course back to you, EGI. Back to you, chat. Twitch.tv/EGI_2. Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings on the Xbox 360 is of course the port of a if I were to be reviewing EGI2, if I were to be reviewing The Witcher 2 on the PC, then I would probably be giving it an 8 out of 10. But with the Xbox 360, you get the full Witcher. You do get the full Witcher experience, but you don't get the same high level of DLSS, SSAO, tessellation, draw distance, and ray tracing that you get on the PC. You, in fact, what you do, but you still get is that classic Witcher 2 action RPG, classic subsurface scattering RPG play mechanics, and you get that sexy the sex dungeon.
On this. So I don't think we'll be able to. We can't. This is like.
So we can't take the bench with us, but we can give the Witcher. We can give The Witcher 2. It's on the Assassins of Kings on the Xbox 360. It's just desserts here live on Twitch.tv/EGI_2's Outdoor Game Reviews 3. We have reviewed so far three official game reviews, which of course we started with. Blood Omen 2, then we went on to review. I don't think you should be doing that, Alan. I'm pretty sure that this is LA City property.
But that's how I want to take the. I think it would be good on the set, Robbie, if we had a big bench.
Blood Omen 2, and then we reviewed, of course, Metalhead on the Sega 32X, and then reviewed Parasite Eve on the Sony PlayStation before taking suggestions from the chat. And we are now reviewing Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings on the Xbox 360. The Witcher 2 port for the Xbox 360 that tried as hard as it could to bring the Witcher 2 experience to console gamers, but perhaps... No, Witcher 2. Well, Witcher 2 was only on the Xbox 360. Never received a PlayStation 3 or Wii port. Although
Witcher 3 is the one that people like.
Witcher 2 is the one that was on the Xbox 360, Alan, and Witcher 2, Assassin of Kings, because of the significant graphical download, receives an EGI2 score of 6 out of 10, Alan.
That's sort of an average score for these kind of Robbie games, these 6 out of 10. I thought you were talking about Witcher 3.
But the problem with the Witcher 2 is that the graphics... It's one of those few instances where the graphics of the game, in fact, affect the game. The poor frame rates, copious amounts of slowdown, issues with tessellation, Z-fighting, clipping, and various lack effects. And because it's such a story-heavy game, because it's such a character-driven game, the elements of the story that need to be told the elements of the story that need to be told through cutscenes between where two characters. What are you talking about? Allan, what I'm having a bit difficulty describing because the Witcher games are known, in fact, to have a great deal of adult content.
Oh yeah, they take baths in these games. With the characters are kissing and yes, I know that.
So, you know, they made those things do in fact make it into The Witcher 2: Assassins of Kings on the Xbox 360, but I think at the expense of the gameplay, which is already compromised by poor frame rates and copious dips and slowdown.
I don't know what are you trying to say?
I'm saying that EGI2's official score. So on the PC Witcher, if I was reviewing the PC version of The Witcher 2, it would receive an EGI2 score of 8 out of 10. But because of the Xbox 360's limitations,
Robbie, get a shot of the sun.
It's
so dang bright.
Wow, it's too bright. 6 out of 10 for The Witcher 2 on the Xbox 360. But if I were to that would have been my review when it came out. And of course now, because hindsight is in fact 2020, we give it an even lower score, Allan, and that score is
I can't see a damn thing.
Is of course a 5.5 out of 10.
Is the screen on? I can't see.
So that's it. That's the fourth game that we've reviewed here on EGI2's Outdoor Game Reviews. Sound up in the chat if there's something else that you would like us to review besides The Witcher 2: Assassin of Kings on the Xbox 360, Parasite Eve, Metalhead for the Sega 32X, and of course,
Witcher.
Blood Omen 2, the second game in the Kane storyline in the Legacy of Kane franchise. Gravity Rush 2, of course. Oh, Gravity Rush 2 on the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 Gravity Rush 2.
I think Gravity Rush 2? I think that's probably one of those games where you flip around, like you're sort of spinning around, and the gravity's all messed up. It's sort of a physics sort of game where they mess up with the gravity. And you're saying it's on PlayStation 4, and I guess it would probably those kind of PlayStation 4 games where you mess with gravity and cool graphics. Those probably get about a 10 or something, maybe about a score of a 10 out of 10. And just look at how bright that goddamn sun is. It's burning a hole right in my eyes. I'm going to try to read the chat, but I truly cannot see it for the life of me. And my eyes are killing me. They hurt so bad. Oh, Gravity Rush 2.
Gravity Rush 2 on the PlayStation 4 receives a EGI2 Outdoor Game Review score of 7 out of 10. The first Gravity Rush game, I believe, which they made Gravity Rush 2, the first Gravity Rush on the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 4. These could be more gang symbols. These could be sort of runes or dabs.
Come over here.
I don't know if that's what when people say, like, I'm gonna dab.
These may be bullet holes.
It could be bullet holes from a gunfight.
But it's maybe one of those kind of guns that's like.
This is a mob town. This is a crime town. The city is on fire at all times, and
how beautiful it is.
Everyone suffers except for the people playing Gravity Rush on the PlayStation Vita or Gravity Rush 2 on the PlayStation 4. So Gravity Rush 2 receives an EGI2 score of 6.5 out of 10.
Robbie,
I misspoke when I gave it a 7 out of 10 a moment ago. And then the first Gravity Rush, that gets a 7.2 out of 10, Allan.
Can they see me or you?
They can see you right now.
You should come in the grass with me.
I can't get in the grass. I've got to keep. I'm worried that if I get any more closer to the ground, then I'm going to lose the signal. And we don't want to do that because we want to keep reviewing games. So I can't do that right now, Allan, because I'm just having a.
Stick your arm out.
If I get any closer to the ground, Allan, I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to lose this signal. We're going to have to restart this whole thing all over again. But in the chat, if there's something else that you want me to review, please let me know.
Help me. Okay, that's better.
I can't get any closer, Allan. If I get any closer, I'm going to lose the stream. And we don't want to lose the stream. Lucky Luke for the PlayStation. Grandia 2. That's a good one for Mossy Lump. Grandia 3. I'm sorry, Grandia 3. I read Grandia 2. Grandia 2 gets gets a 5 out of 10. Grandia 3 gets a 7 out of 10. And the first Grandia game gets an 8 out of 10 from EGI 2. Front Mission Gun Hazard for the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. Is that the original PlayStation? Probably gets an EGI2 score of 7.1 out of 10.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you, Allan. What did we say for Grandia 2? Wait, Grandia 3. Wait, did you say? Okay, so Grandia 3 gets a 6 out of 10. Grandia 2 gets a 7 out of 10, and then the first Grandia gets an 8 out of 10.
Okay, great.
Unless you're talking about the Sega Saturn Grandia game, which gets an extra 0.2 2/10 of a point above 8, simply because making a fully movable 3D environment on the Sega Saturn, a fully realized JRPG with rotating 3D graphics on the Sega Saturn was quite a feat, and the effort deserves at least 2/10 of a point more. Chrono Cross gets a 9 out of EGI2, 9 out of 10.
Nice. I'm hungry.
And Allan, so Mossy Lump says, I have Grandia 2, Skies of Arcadia, and Shenmue and Dreamcast. Start with, okay, my suggestion to you is start with Skies of Arcadia, then go to Grandia 2, and then do Shenmue. Because Shenmue, unless, it's hard, I want to say maybe even start with Shenmue and then go to Grandia 2, but definitely start or end with Shenmue. And then go on to start with Shenmue and then go on to Grandia 2. But definitely put Grandia 2 at the end and put Skies of Arcadia in the middle. Skies of Arcadia goes in the middle.
Robbie, what happened?
What do you mean?
Why did this happen?
Why did this happen? Gang violence. Blasto on the PlayStation. Blasto, of course, one of the last things that the great Phil Hartman worked on, receives an EGI2 score of I have to give it a 5 out of 10. Even though I think that it definitely paved the way for a lot of 3D action games, especially the Ratchet and Clank franchise, then it definitely gets a it gets a boost from that. Otherwise, I think it would be closer to a 4 out of 10, because going back and playing Blasto on the Sony PlayStation is not what I would call. It's not a blast from the past. It's just slightly disappointing.
Robbie,
Uncharted 3 on what?
I don't know how to get out of it.
Well, you got to come back the way that you came.
Okay.
So, Allan, now they're asking for Uncharted 3 on the PlayStation. You've played the Uncharted games more recently.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 for Uncharted 3 on the PlayStation 3. 9 out of 10 for Uncharted 2 on the PlayStation 3. And then a 7 out of 10 for the first Uncharted game on the PlayStation 3. Uncharted 4 on the PlayStation 4, Allan?
10 out of 10. Great graphics.
10 out of 10. It's a party. They're party games. They're party people games. And we are... There's a fun part in the car where the mud looks really good, and everybody still, to this day, Allan, people still talk about the mud in the mud level.
Yeah. I got out.
ATV Off-Road Fury 2. I'm not really sure which one of the ATV Off-Road games I have played, but I want to go ahead and say it's a party game. It's a game for party people who love to party, and it gets an EGI2 ATV Off-Road 2 review score of 4 out of 10. For not having enough tracks and not having enough ATVs. BM XXX, Allan, is of course Dave Mira's BMX XXX game. It's a game for sickos and perverts who couldn't get enough. Who felt like there wasn't enough, that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or the Kelly Slater's Surfing or whichever of those extreme sports games.
What about that show where Rob Dyrdek watches TikTok?
There's a show, Mud Runner is a good mud game. It's a great mud game. Mud Runner is a party game for people who love mud, and gets an EGI2 outdoor game review score of 8 out of 10. And any of the games in the Mud Runner franchise is running pretty hot right now, Allan. So if you're a fan of mud, if you're a fan of driving through the mud, if you're a fan of tire marks, and if you're a fan of tire marks and various densities of mud, and perhaps ice and snow. I think, is there a snow runner game, Allan?
Yeah.
Allan, I can't get in there. There's foxtails all over the place. I've got low ankle socks on. They'll get into my socks. They'll stab me and they'll scrape me and cut me.
What's a foxtail?
Foxtail is these. These are wait.
What's wrong with it?
I'm not standing on. They just get under. If you're wearing socks that are too low, foxtails right here. And if you're a dog, if you're a person with a dog and you're walking your dog, and you see these things, these are foxtails. Those could get stuck especially when they're dried out. They'll get stuck in the dog's paws and cause your furry friend a great deal of pain. So that's an EGI2 PSA about foxtails.
And I'm kind of like Robbie's dog in a way. So Robbie's looking out for me and the dog, and we're gonna adopt a dog.
SSX on the Sony PlayStation 2. The first SSX gets an EGI2 score of 7.5 out of 10. Allan, what do you think about that SS? Are you a snowboarding freak? Are you kind of like a freaky guy who loves the thrill of the board, of the dust? I think they call it dusting, is when the snow comes down.
Yes.
So
I'm a snow freak. I'm a dust freak, and I love to snowboard with my blade and go up the hill with the chairlift and jump right off and do bombing runs down the hill and do those sort of flips and jumps. And sometimes I'll put a rail, I'll grind right off and just keep going past the highway all the way back home on my snowboard. So it is fun.
So if you get to if you find yourself in a party town that loves to party in the snow, and you get to the top of the town and you come down on your SSX tricky board and you start cartwheeling and sending in the twists and the flips, and lie down on the board if you have to, but get to the bottom of the hill as quickly as possible is what I would say.
That's the goal.
If you see a ramp, ramp that sucker is what I would like to say to the EGI2 audience.
Ramp that sucker if you can.
Nightmare Creatures on the PlayStation, the original Nightmare Creatures, Allan. A lot of people have been talking about Nightmare Creatures lately.
That. When I walk around the streets, I'll hear people talk about Nightmare Creatures constantly on the bus. Yeah, I'll just hear Nightmare Creatures.
Nightmare Creatures, and Nightmare Creatures on the PlayStation gets a 7 out of 10. It's a great game. It's a party game. If you love Victorian horror,
so fun.
If you love to just whack at things until their limbs come off, low frame rates, then you'll love Nightmare Creatures on the Sony PlayStation, or even Nightmare Creatures 64 on the Nintendo 64.
Absolutely, it's so fun.
And I believe there was a PC version for it, and then
that's right.
And then I don't know if it was a port or an upgrade or a fully remastered, but that would be great to see Nightmare Creatures remastered by somebody like Night Dive Studio or Digital Eclipse.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So if you're listening, anyone at Night Dive or Digital Eclipse, remaster Nightmare Creatures, because there's a buzz going around. At least in LA, people are talking about it.
And people don't talk a lot about Nightmare Creatures 2, which is a crazy game where a sicko with bandages all over his face faces off against the hordes of the Nightmare Creatures after escaping from an insane asylum.
Yes, that is a terrifying vision indeed. Just thinking about that will probably keep me up tonight. I probably won't be sleeping tonight. And I don't sleep most nights, so that's no skin off my back.
Silicon Valley on the Nintendo 64 gets an EGI2 score of 6.5 out of 10. Most of those numbers, most of those points of getting up to the 6.5 out of 10 are a result of the simple ingenuities, not necessarily the most intuitive game, but an ingenious game nonetheless. And of course, coming to us from the same people that brought us Body Harvest on the Nintendo 64 and Rockstar North. But you play as a microchip in Space Station Silicon Valley, Allan. I thought you would love that.
That is interesting. The idea of playing an entire game as a tiny little microchip that someone could eat and swallow, and you'd live in their belly and control them through the microchip. It's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen it done in other games. For some reason, people should do that.
Just imagine being a little person and being able to jump on people and take full control of them, Allan. It's a party time. It's a fun time. 6.5 out of 10, simply because let's just say some fairly derivative mission objectives.
Sure, it's like a rat. It's like if Ratatouille, the famous Pixar movie where the rat cooks, if instead of a rat cooking, it was a microchip.
And instead of a microchip, if you could imagine being in control, what was the Napoleon? Napoleon. So Space Station Silicon Valley gets a 6.5 out of 10. Blast Course gets a 7 out of 10.
Great.
And what else is there, Alan?
Let's see what people are saying. What do we
The first Ratchet and Clank PlayStation on the PlayStation 2 gets a solid EGI2 score of 7.5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. That's what I thought. That's a classic. And all these scores we vote on, Robbie and I both work collectively to kind of come up with our score. We weigh the pros and cons collectively behind the scenes. So when you ask, we know what score to give it.
So we know what score to give it, and we know that we're going to give Forgive Me Father gets an EGI2 score of 6 out of 10.
Yeah, 6 out of 10.
Most of that is just because of the atmosphere and the art style drives a lot of the derivative gameplay forward. Sly Cooper and the Thievis Raccoonus. Yes. The first Sly Cooper game in the Thievis Raccoonus. And don't forget, the Thievis Raccoonus is not a gang. No, it's not a team. It's in fact it's a way of life that the Sly Cooper follows as he sleeps and slides and goes underneath
the rails, and he traverses those.
He walks along
wires.
Chains and electrical wires and dips down and goes through puddles and it's 8 out of 10 for the first. I would say all 3 Sly Cooper games get 8 out of 10. And if you go to the Sly Cooper collection on the PlayStation Vita,
the Vita one.
That's an 8.5 out of 10 simply because of the amazing value you get for all Sly Cooper games on such a small portable device. Stuntman for the PS2. You do a lot of ramps and the car twists over. If you like Burnout games, if you're it's like a party game for Burnout people.
For party people who have fun.
And but unfortunately, it doesn't really match the highs of the Burnout series. So I'm going to go ahead and give it an EGI2 review score of 5 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10.
That is what we said.
Stuntman is definitely a 5 to 5 out of 10. Broken Helix. We haven't heard a lot about Broken Helix.
Broken Helix anymore. We used to talk about it all the time. Every day let's talk about Broken Helix, but not in a while. We haven't talked about that.
That goes in the kind of a 4 out of 10 category, I believe. I think that's Robotica and it's not called the Hudsucker Proxy. It's called Robotica, Organon, something Bleed, something Bleed. The Summoner games, Summoner 1 and 2, both get 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10, so that's not bad. We consider it's out of 10. It's not like out of 100, so 4 out of 10 it's fine.
Not Illbleed. Illbleed is on the Sega Dreamcast. We're not talking about Illbleed. We're talking about a first-person kind of robot wandering game. I want to say it starts with a K and has the word blood in it.
Blood open.
So it's like Killick Blood or Clacky.
What was it? Clack Blood? No.
Clacky the robot's Blood Journey.
Blood.
Illbleed is a trip. Kill Bleed. Is it Kill Blood?
It's Kill Bleed.
I don't think it is Kill Blood. Kill Blood is close. We're getting closer to it, but I want to say Illbleed is a party game. It's a fantastic game if you love to party and visit carnivals that have gone crazy. And of course, the Tormentor is there. He's making your heart rate go up, and you don't have a health rate in the same way. You have a heart rate in it. So it's kind of like Tecmo's Deception on the PlayStation 1, but it takes place at a carnival, and you play a woman in a miniskirt.
Yes, that's right.
So, Clacky the Robot Journey, Killer Man, Medieval, of course, on the PlayStation 1, which also there was Medieval 2 on the PlayStation 1, but then they had a remake of the Medieval on the PlayStation 4, and that got an EGI2 outdoor review score of, I want to say, 7.7, 7.8 out of 10.
Yes.
So we're getting we're getting so many reviews in. Destriga is of course a fighting game. It's a party game. If you like, it's kind of like at a canted angle. So that gets just for that it gets at least 1 point out of 10. I can't say exactly how many other points it gets because I've never actually played it.
A couple more than one, but
Carnival, the light gun game.
It's a party game for shooting.
If you're
weapon freak, or
maybe you're seeing a cool movie at the movie theater and they've got Carnival in the arcade and you play Carnival. It costs $1.25 to play, but it's worth it because you don't get an hour, you get like 5 minutes.
Okay,
if you're
so
lucky.
maybe it's not worth it. Maybe save your money.
But that probably gets an EGI2 outdoor review score. I want to say 6. No, let's say 5.6 out of 10.
out of 10 though, so it is good.
Metropolis Mania. Metropolis Mania for the PlayStation 2 is, of course, a game for people who love to party, who love to explore the Metropolis. I believe in a taxi cab, Alan.
Yeah, it's a crazy kind of party game in a taxi cab.
And that gets an EGI2 score of. So let's give it. I'm gonna give it a solid 5.2 out of 10.
I think 5.2 is fair.
Plumbers Don't Wear Ties is not a real game.
There's nothing on some of these Robbie.
Plumbers Wear Ties is not a real game, so it doesn't get anything. It doesn't get anything from me. Someone said Brain Dead 13, which is kind of like a Don Bluth style animated FMV game for the 3DO, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn, Alan. And that receives an EGI2 score simply because those types of games just never age well and never get to the point of offering you the kind of experience that you want to have while playing a Don Bluth game in which you get to choose the character's destiny. And I want to say just from the quality of some of the character designs in Brain Dead 13, it should get at least 2 or 3 points out of 10. But not much more than that because not much gameplay is there. I think we're running out of. We ran out of signal. Are we still live? Can someone tell me if we're still live? Stubbs Zombie gets a 7 out of 10. That's a solid 7. Solid 7 out of 10 game if there ever was one. Oh goodness gracious, we're still live. And we are up to The Dig. The Dig, of course, Alan, The Dig on the LucasArts point-and-click adventure game that you can now play on DOSBox.
Yes, it's on DOSBox.
Or you can play it on any number of emulators that run DOSBox, and that gets an EGI2 score of 7 out of 10. Dig Dug, the first Dig Dug, and the arcade Dig Dug. It's a party game. Play it with a friend, play it at the arcade, play it at home, play it any way you can. Dig Dug's a solid 9 out of 10, Alan.
See what I have here?
Breaking news. Giovanni H. What's the breaking news? We're not getting any puppies. We're not buying any puppies, Alan. We don't. It's not our. EGI2 studio is not our. We don't own that space. We can't just start bringing dogs into it.
We'll keep them in our house. We'll have days we share them. We can live together.
We have children, so we can't exactly. You have one child. I have one child. We don't have room and we have small apartments, and we don't not have room for dogs, Alan.
My child is. It's just a cat, Robbie.
Dogs aren't cats, Alan.
No,
they don't poop. They don't poop in boxes, and they don't leave you alone.
Robbie,
That's why cats are much better.
I don't have a real child. I have room for a dog.
Sound off in the chat if we need to review any more games today, because we are running into the end of EGI2's outdoor game review stream.
These are free puppies. They're not free, but we can. If we use the money from the hype train, we could get 1 or 2 puppies.
I mean, if you could teach a dog to poop in a box and leave me alone, then maybe we could talk about it. Nintendogs on the Nintendo DS, and then later Nintendogs on the 3DS.
7 out of 6 or
6. Oh yeah, 6.5 out of 10. Disciples 2. I always get Disciples and Divinity mixed up, but I want to say. Probably Disciples is probably somewhere below a 6 out of 10, but not nowhere near a 5 out of 10, Alan.
No, definitely not.
And the first Nintendogs game is definitely a 7.5 out of 10. It's a great use of the dual screen technology, the touch screen technology, the touch generation. Alan, do you remember the touch generation?
Yeah, I've been touching. I love to touch, and I love being touched. The physical touch is quite important to me, and I think to a lot of people.
Castlevania Portrait of Ruin on the Nintendo DS gets an EGI2 score of 8.5 out of 10. And the reason that it's not higher than that, even though I absolutely love Portrait of Ruin, it's a party game for people who love to slay Dracula in World War II, Alan?
Yes.
I can't remember if it's World War I or World War II. It is 2. Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, but it just a lot of the extra play mechanics that you have to deal with in Portrait of Ruin just don't quite feel like they mesh well with the Metroidvania type of exploration. Gets an 8.5 out of 10. It would be higher if it was more straightforward, like something like Symphony of the Night. Okay. I think I'm done. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
We want to remind everybody that EGI2 returns on Monday. We want to remind everybody that EGI2 Stream 13 is going to be Monday, March 11th.
See the sun?
Yes, live at our normal time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, with special guest Joe Rumrill, who looks like a cross between me and Allan.
Oh, okay.
And we'll be there reviewing, and we'll be doing the news, doing the reviews. Please join us on Monday. We're back to our normally scheduled time.
And we'll have a puppy with us.
And we will not have a puppy with us, but we will look into each other's souls and see the goodness in them, and be reminded that no one lives forever. And so while you're living on this earth, that it is important to be kind and patient and gracious.